optimization and lead nurturing. My name is Todd Tweedy. I'll be your host today for this session on lead capture and nurturing. Our session will begin momentarily. Joining us today, my name is Todd Tweedy. I'll be your host. I'm the lead for digital strategy at MotionSoft. And today I'm joined by our presenter, Rachel Lai, who's the marketing manager at InTouch Technology. She's responsible for all online marketing activities, customer communication, and advertising opportunities. Rachel oversees the InTouch website, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter accounts. She has over 10 years of marketing experience helping enterprise software companies develop brand recognition and market share. Again, welcome to our third and final session on lead nurturing. Our presenter today, Rachel Lai, will focus a little bit more in detail on the sales aspects that you can leverage to help grow your business. If you have any questions or comments for Rachel, you can contact her at the end of the presentation via email, and that contact information will be presented here shortly. Without any further ado, let me turn it over to Rachel.
Thanks, Todd. Hi, everyone. So today I'll be talking about lead capture and nurture, specifically how it relates to your website leads. So just a quick overview of what we're going to cover today. We'll do a quick review of landing pages. If you were in our first website bootcamp session, we will be repeating some of the information, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody is on the same page when it comes to landing page components and the importance of each component. Then we'll talk about some best practices you want to keep in mind when implementing your lead capture forms on your website. And then lastly, I'll share some tactics for nurturing your leads from capture through to sale. So let's get started with the landing page review, so we're all on the same page. What are landing pages? Landing pages help you convert visitors to your website to leads you can sell to. The landing page will highlight an offer in exchange for the visitor's contact details. So you're trying to get your website visitors to take action on your landing page, and you need to motivate them. That's what the landing page does. Let's look at a sample landing page so we all understand the components of the landing page. Here's my landing page for Club InTouch. The first component is my headline. And this clearly tells the visitor what they'll get for converting to a lead on this page. The second component is the lead capture form. This allows your clubs to collect contact details from your website visitors in exchange for the offer. The third component is the copy. This is going to explain the benefits of the offer. You need your copy to be compelling because you need to motivate people to take action. Then the last component is my image. Landing pages that include a relevant image give visitors a tangible idea of what they'll receive and make your landing pages more visually appealing. Okay, great. Now that we've done that quick overview, let's look at how to optimize our lead capture forms. We know that they're an essential part of a landing page because you want to capture your website visitor as soon as they're on your website, but how do we increase our lead intel? First of all, you want to make sure your language is geared towards attracting new leads. You don't want your landing page to encourage your existing members to contact you via the form. Some of the clubs I've spoken to complain that their members fill out capture forms looking for billing information. A really, really easy fix for this is to change the language on your lead capture form. Make sure you're using language that's going to speak to a new member or prospect. Things like a free trial, VIP pass, things like that, instead of using a contact us form. Also, you can give your members an alternative to filling out the form. For example, if you have a member area, you can link to the area here, or you can provide a link to a contact us form where your members can contact you for billing information. The next strategy is to reduce your form fields. Studies show that reducing your form fields from 9 fields to 5 fields can improve conversion rates by 34%. Typically, we recommend 4 to 6 fields. 4 or 5 is ideal. So for my lead capture form on the left-hand side, I've got 8 or 9 fields here. That's way too long. That's going to deter people from filling out the form. If I'm just asking for essential information, people are more likely to give me their info. Remember, you only need to ask for essential information. So those are the contact details you actually need from the lead to give them the trial pass. Remember, you just want to get your lead into the club, and once they're in the club, your sales staff can talk to them and qualify them further. Next, when you're looking for lead intel, make sure you're using required fields. Because you've shortened your form so much now, it's okay to use mandatory fields. You need to get the information that you need in order to contact the lead to give them the trial pass. If you just get a name and last name, you're not going to have phone number and email address. How can you get them the trial pass? So by making these fields mandatory and by shortening the form, that combination is going to encourage your website visitors to actually give you the information you need. Next is an email confirmation. So when you fill out a lead capture form, what you want to do is to send a confirmation email right away. This process needs to be automated, so your leads get this email no matter what time of day they fill in your lead capture form. You don't want your leads to be waiting until the following day if you're manually sending these emails out, if they filled in the form overnight and nobody's working at your club. When you're sending these emails, make sure that the email is personalized. So in my example here, you can say that it says, Dear Rachel. It should tell them the terms of the offer. So in the email, it says you have access to a free 7-day trial pass, and you need to redeem this offer within 10 days. Putting an expiration date on this offer is important because you don't want to be chasing people for months and months and months just to use a trial pass. You want to motivate them to come into your club by a certain deadline. Also, the email can highlight some benefits in your club. For example, you can see that my club has some specific benefits there, and it also tells them how to get their free pass. So I'm asking them to come into the club and show this email to the front desk. Next, I recommend you integrate your systems. So we want to have your website and your sales software integrated. So when you have a visitor on your website and they complete your lead capture form, you want them to automatically become a new lead in your sales software or your CRM software. The reason for this is because if your leads aren't automatically passed, 1, you run the risk of losing them, and 2, you're delaying the follow-up process because somebody actually has to manually put your leads in your sales software before the follow-up process starts. If you're using InTouch, you can use our website lead form and implement that on your website, and then your leads will automatically go into InTouch. If you don't have that set up and you would like to get that set up, contact me. My contact details will be at the end, and we can make sure that that is set up for you. Great. So we've talked about how to optimize our lead capture forms. I'm going to talk about how to nurture these leads from capture through to close. So these are our best practices for follow-up. With your web lead forms, you want to follow up with everybody. Every inbound sale is like a scratch-off lottery ticket. You don't know what you've won until you scratch off the wax and see. How many people buy a scratch and win ticket and then wait until the next day to see if they're a winner? No one. They do it immediately. Inbound sales leads should be treated the same way. What this means is that every sale needs to be followed up with. Don't assume that just because you sent the lead an email, they're actually going to come into your club. Your sales staff need to follow up with them. So make sure all your web leads are entered into your CRM. And going to my point earlier, this can be done automatic if you integrate your website with your CRM software. Then, as a sales manager, you need to use your sales software on a daily basis to make sure that 100% of your web leads are being dealt with by your staff. Let me tell you, if you aren't checking, it's probably not happening. My next tip is to be speedy. So how much time should it take to follow up with a web lead? The answer to that is less time than you think. The average company takes 44 hours to respond to a web lead. I can tell you that that is far, far too long. According to the Harvard Business Review, companies that try to contact potential customers within an hour of receiving a web query are nearly 7 times as likely to have meaningful conversations with leads as companies that try to contact these leads even an hour later. So even that 60 minutes can make a difference to your success in sales. Your sales reps should try and call the web leads as soon as possible. And remember, these are hot leads. They contacted you. They want to know more about your club. They want to hear from you. Don't make them wait to hear from you. To this point, you don't want your managers to hold up the process by holding your leads hostage. We often see this in InTouch, is that you have a pile of website leads waiting to be assigned. You want to make sure that your sales can do their job, and this means quickly assigning out these sales leads. A great way to do this is to use web leads as a reward system. So you'll see all your web leads in InTouch, and you can assign them out to your top performing sales staff. This gives them incentive to do well in their other sales, the leads that they have to generate themselves, and it also means that they're getting followed up with very quickly. As I said, these are hot leads. You want to follow up with them very, very quickly. When developing a lead response process, you want to address not only the time that a qualified lead should be responded to, but the frequency as well. In a study by Forbes.com, the average sales rep only made 1.3 call attempts before abandoning the lead and moving on. I can tell you that you're just throwing your leads away. You've generated them by implementing SEO, by doing AdWords, things like that, and now your sales leads your sales reps are just going to abandon the leads. What you want to do is you want to aim for 6 contact attempts. By increasing your contact attempts to 6, your sales staff can experience up to 70% more contact. And remember, it's not just calls. You can use multiple communication methods. So you can use email, you can use phone, you can use email and text message. Everybody responds to different communication methods differently, so it's a good idea to test all of the different types. Especially if you are collecting opt-ins for text messages, you don't have to be worried about texting your leads. They've given you permission, you're okay to go ahead and text them. When it comes to follow-up, the next tip I'll give you is to follow up with relevant content. You want to warm up your customers with content that is relevant to that part of their journey. Each call, text, or email you send your leads should help move them towards purchasing. Understanding and anticipating your prospects' next move is very important, especially since they'll have new and different questions as they move further along in their journey. For example, you've got your web leads, they filled out your form, they've come in for a trial. Your staff should follow up with leads mid-trial to make sure they're enjoying all the benefits of the club, that they're actually using your trial pass. There's no point in giving a trial pass if somebody's not actually testing out your club. Also, consider your communication cadence. You don't want to bombard your leads by communicating too much. Think about how to give breaks between communication to ensure that when you do communicate with your leads, they're going to be receptive. I suggest a call every few days, maybe once a week even. You have to test it out with your leads. The last thing is that your staff should record their history notes in your CRM so they can refer back to what the lead has said later on in the sales process. They can actually use those answers to overcome their sales objections. The biggest advice I would give fellow marketers is to never stop testing. You don't know how your club is performing unless you shop your club. You've done it before. You've probably called into your club and tested your front desk to see how they respond to a telephone inquiry. Do the same with your web leads. Fill out your web lead form and then see how long it takes for a salesperson to actually call you. Do you get that that automated email confirmation right away? Does a salesperson call you the next day when they're open? If it's taking more than a few hours, if it's not overnight for your salesperson to call you back, you're going to need to change the process and enforce some new rules. So overall, what we've covered today and some of the suggestions I have for you is to optimize your web lead forms. Remember to tailor the content or tailor the title of your web lead form to make sure that it's enticing new leads, not your existing members. You can also shorten your web lead forms to encourage people to fill them out. Another thing is to integrate your website with your sales software. We don't want our leads to just sit in an email waiting for someone to go check that email and then enter them into our sales software and then assign them to a sales rep. We want that process to be very smooth, very quick, because you don't want your web leads sitting around for a long time. These are hot leads. Get in touch with them ASAP. And along that same line is speed up the response time to web leads. You want your sales reps to call your web leads, make sure that they are going to come in and take advantage of that trial pass. And lastly, you want to increase the number of contact points you have with your web leads to increase your sales. That's it for me. If anybody has questions, you can go ahead and type them in the chat box, and then we can answer some of them.
Awesome, thanks, Rachel. And let me encourage all of our participants to type in their questions. Thanks, Mary, for jumping on board so quickly. If you could, please enter your question into the chat window and I'll make sure I relay them to Rachel. In the meantime, I'm curious, Rachel, what are some of the biggest hurdles that you experience in working with clients in the health and fitness space as it relates to lead nurturing?
I think one is that in the health and fitness space, we all understand that it's really important to generate new leads. However, I'm not sure why web leads are treated differently from a lead that walks into your club. Just because somebody is not walking physically into your club, it doesn't mean they're not interested. Your web leads are hot leads. 70% of the sales process is done before a buyer actually comes and contacts you now. So they're on your website. If you're giving them the information that they're looking for immediately, you really want to make sure you're following up with those web leads. I think the sales process is changing a little bit in that more people will contact you online first before actually coming into your club. So you really want to stay on top of that follow-up. 44 hours to get a response, if I filled out a web lead form, that's a really long time. I've probably moved on to another club by then. That's why I think making sure that you are very speedy in your response is the first thing.
How important is localization in web form and lead nurturing? So let's say I'm a facility with 20 locations and 3 different states. Is it important for me to include the location information and acknowledgement or autoresponder communications that I send to my prospects, or can I just use a generic form or response?
I think it's okay to use a generic response because all you care about is really getting that lead into one of your clubs. It doesn't matter which one. And you don't want to hinder your lead from going into another one of your locations if they're very close together. Say I'm on Main Street and there's a club 2 blocks away, but on my email response it told me to go to a club that's 10 minutes down the road. I don't want to hinder people by saying that they can only go to one club to use their trial pass. I think it's okay to do it generally. The main thing is that you want to get your leads in the door so then you can talk to them, you can qualify them, you can take them on a club tour.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Rachel. Hey, Mary, I just want to make sure you can hear me okay. Just give me, the thumbs up, thumbs down. Can you guys hear me okay that are participating in the call today? Awesome. Thanks, Mary. Appreciate that. So again, questions from our participants. Come on, guys. This webinar is for you. I mean, clearly, nearly 40 of you have issues with nurturing and lead forms. What's holding you back? Where do you need help to take your lead form activity to the next level? Is it messaging? Is it the formatting of the forms itself? Is it the data capture and the process for passing leads on to sales? Is it trying to figure out how to slim down the number of fields that you're incorporating into a form? What's driving your interest to be here today? All right, thanks, David. I'm going to read David's questions for you, Rachel. We do a 3-workout guest pass. I usually give 3 workouts and a date to pass for 1 week. Do you like giving a 1 week, sorry, my form is kind of cutting off the rest of your question here a little bit. Let me see if I can scroll down and pick it back up.
Oh, that's okay. I can see the question, Todd. I do like to give a deadline for completing your trial or for completing your workout. I think because you want to create urgency, you want to motivate people. People respond very well to deadlines. So I do think you don't want to let your trials or your 3 workout guest pass drag on too long. I'm not sure if a week is the right amount of time. Sometimes people get busy in a week, especially if it's 3 workouts. I would maybe give them 10 days, because then they could come in every 3 days and do a workout, especially for somebody who's starting into a fitness program very early on. Coming into the club every other day might be a lot for them. That might feel like big of a commitment. So if you give them 10 days, 9 days, lets them space out the workouts a little bit, I think that might be better. But absolutely, I do agree that you have to put a deadline on things. You want to motivate people. You want them to take action. You don't want them to linger too long in the sales process. And
awesome. So oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
And then, Jaquetta, if you're looking to link your website to InTouch, I will be able to see your, because you would have logged in with your email address. I'll send you an email, and I can have someone help you with that.
Cool. And I see David was maybe just starting the process of writing a question. Let me get back to this notion of urgency and changing behavior. What about reinforcement communications during the process of that 3-day pass? So it's not just to get them to activate the pass. I think at one point you're also trying to drive them to get to the next visit out of 3, correct?
Absolutely. And I find drip email communications or even text messages can be very effective for that. So what you can do is you can set up an email campaign. So if somebody has started on their, 7-day pass, the 3 workout guest pass, whatever it is, you want to send them emails at specific times to make sure that they, 1, remembering that they've got this pass, and 2, that you're motivating them to come in for their next class. So as I said, you can set up email communication, so you can set a cadence. So you can decide that, for example, every 3 days I'm going to send this person an email or a text message. And you can even intersperse them because people respond to different communications differently. So absolutely. And in those emails, I would put in content on why it's good for them to use the pass, why this workout class is a good experience for them, highlights of the workout class, even including the schedule, and any information that makes it very easy for them to say, right, I have that guest pass, I'm going to come back in. That would be good to send them.
And Rachel, maybe if you could just for a second talk about the concept of drip. And to participants, it certainly isn't the coffee maker that you use in the morning, but rather, go ahead, Rachel.
So drip emails is where you would set up a series of emails to go out to your leads And in InTouch, you can do it based on where they are in the sales process. So you would send, for example, if somebody has signed up for a trial and they've come in to actually redeem their trial, when they sign up or when they start their trial, you can send them an email the very first night that says, "Congratulations on starting your trial. Here's a list of classes you might be interested in." That's your first email. A couple days later, you can send them another follow-up email that asks how it's going during the trial. If they have any questions, they can contact you, all that kind of information. And so you're going to set up this series of emails that will go out to leads at specific times. And it is a bit like a coffee machine. So drip a little bit of information, and then we drip them a bit more information to encourage them to keep moving forward in your sales process.
Awesome, thanks. All right, so let me ask another question while our participants type in some more questions into the chat window. And my question is this: where do you position forms, and what formats do you use?
So for the form positioning on my landing pages, let me just share my screen back. 1 second. Just taking a minute again.
You gotta love technology.
Yeah.
And while we're waiting for the tech up, please type your questions into the window. I know we've got over 30 folks here with us right now. What do you need help with? What can we do to help you with your lead nurturing and landing forms? If you could just type your question in, let us do that today. Go ahead, Rachel.
So for your landing pages, you can either put your form on the left-hand side, as I have it here, or on the right-hand side, you could put it here. I personally like it on the left-hand side because I think when you go to a landing page, my intention is to get more information or to somehow claim this offer. And as humans, this is how our eye works. Our eye always goes from the top left-hand corner to the bottom right-hand corner of a page. That's just how we scan information. It's proven. They've done studies on that. So that's why I like to put the form right on the left-hand side. The other school of thought is to put your landing page, or to put your lead capture form right on your homepage. You can certainly do that. I feel that putting it on a landing page helps because you can provide the additional information in the copy. I find that already the homepage can look very cluttered. It can be hard to provide additional information. And what I personally don't like is when forms are hidden. So if it's a form and then it expands, for me as an end user, that is a bit, that's frustrating. You don't want to make your users think or your website visitors think. You just want the process to be very smooth and seamless for them. So if a form expands on my homepage, that's more thinking that I have to do, because sometimes if I click on a button, I expect to be taken to a landing page.
Awesome. So we've got a couple of more questions here. We'll start with Adrian Lindsay. Adrian, I'm assuming that Rachel's going to just reach out to you directly concerning how do you get a landing page to link to InTouch through your social media. Correct, Rachel? You'll just reach out to Adrian
I can,
independently?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, I will certainly do that.
Awesome. So let's jump down to David's question. Are there industry stats that say what's the better way to make contact calls, emails, or text? I've heard that email may be the best as web leads are emailed. Thoughts?
Find that email is effective, but there are studies that have shown that text messaging is actually a more effective way of communicating with your leads right now. Just because your text messages are often read within the first 3 minutes of them being received, and they also elicit a faster response rate, I think, because text is instantaneous. The other thing is that with texting, it's a non-intrusive way of communication, because I can choose to respond right away or I can wait till later. It doesn't really matter. But if I have a phone call, I either have to pick up or I let it go to voicemail. For me, And for a lot of people, I think, and the studies have shown that the response rate to text messaging is increasing. The only thing with texting is that you want to make sure that you're collecting permission from your leads to text them. That's the only thing that I'll say about that. If you're using InTouch, you will have those capabilities, but whatever solution that you're using, just make sure that you're properly collecting permission from your leads so that you're not getting in trouble with that texting. So there's another question about.
Yeah, so why don't we jump to Jaquetta's question about how do you recover prospect contact information that's past the 90-day hurdle and maybe have not toured the club. I think, keeping in mind that the, opt-out framework for most corporations is 180 days if you haven't reached someone. But Rachel, I'd love to hear from you in terms of, how do you re-engage folks that are still potentially live contacts but have been non-responders to previous communications?
Right. So if you have your prospects stored in your sales software, first of all, you will already have their name, their phone number, and their email address. What I would do is I would do a campaign specifically to leads that are older than 90 days, and I would put together a special promotion to encourage them to re-engage with your club. Something like a longer trial. It could be a 2-week trial. It could be a special offer for 5 free shakes from your smoothie bar, that kind of thing. I think you need to, when your leads have gone for say 90 plus days without contacting you, I think you really have to give them a very strong incentive to come back into your club. You can do that through text, you can do that through email, you can do that through a call campaign. But if they're in your sales software, the great thing is that you shouldn't have lost their contact information.
Let me jump down to Ariel's question about how do you avoid automated emails being marked as spam. Does InTouch have the ability to manage this issue? I don't know if you want to reach out directly to Ariel or if you want to just comment here right now.
I can comment here right now. I think a big thing is to make sure that your emails are personalized. So if you're using InTouch, you can actually use insert. In our email, you can actually insert first name for the lead, and it will automatically personalize your emails. So make sure you're using those insert tokens. The other thing is to make sure that your content is actually helpful to the lead. InTouch handles unsubscribes automatically. So if somebody unsubscribes from your emails, you're not going to keep emailing them, and so then you shouldn't be blacklisted that way because we already handle the unsubscribes. But if your content is valuable to the lead, it's not just spammy. It's not just like asking them to come back to the club. Say you're providing value-added information. I think all of it helps with your emails not being classified as spam.
All right, Patricia has a question related to maybe any cheat sheets that you have that you can help her kind of guide leads into sales. And I don't know if you want to reach out to her directly or.
Yeah, Patricia, why don't I think I have some information that I can put together for you. But for sales, it's mainly about follow-up. Like you're not going to get people on the phone right away. You won't get them responding to your emails immediately. That's why the statistic that sales reps should try and contact people 6 times, that's going to increase your contact, the possibility of contact by 70%. I think a lot of sales, if you call them once or twice and they don't pick up, then we abandon the lead. It's not the right attitude. Sales is a numbers game. You have to be persistent. So with sales KPIs, we're looking at things like number of calls made, number of appointments booked. It's a numbers game. The more calls you make, the higher the percentage that you're going to book an appointment and bring your people in for a tour. And then the higher when you do the follow-ups again from those people that have toured the club, then your percentage for closing will be higher. Sales is a numbers game, so it is all about the follow-up.
How about the folks we haven't heard from yet? Let me encourage you to type a question into our chat window so we can help you address your nurturing and sales lead issues today. Rachel, any closing comments? Kind of your top 10 list here, maybe just a quick summary for our participants here today.
Yeah, I think the number one biggest thing is to make sure that you are using your lead capture forms on your landing pages or on your website in general. When I've taken a look at some websites for health clubs specifically, a lot of people will put out an offer for a free pass, but they won't encourage the website visitor to convert to a lead right on that page. You don't want to make people come into your club just to claim the pass. It's better if you can capture their information while they're still interested. And then the other thing that I can't stress enough is to have your website and your CRM software connected. A lot of times people will have their web lead forms just go to an email inbox, then that email inbox never gets checked, or it gets checked a few days later. So now your web leads are sitting in there. They may have received an automated response, they might not have, but 44 hours to get more information, I've probably moved on to the next club. So speeding up that process by integrating it with your sales software, all of that really key. And also, if you do have InTouch, making sure your managers are assigning your website leads very quickly. You don't want 40 website leads just sitting there because those are your hot leads. You want to make sure you're following up with them.
Awesome, thanks, Rachel. I see Jaquetta has requested an email directly from you. And David, thank you for your feedback. That's always much appreciated. Again, kind of a last chance for our participants. Any questions you want to ask, guys? Come on, this is your chance. Don't be afraid. All right, without any further questions, Rachel, thank you so much for a great presentation today. And thank you, participants, for being here for our third and final series on SEO and lead nurturing. Have a great day.
Thanks, you guys. Yes, have a good one. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye now.